You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and Stuffy on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you on a Let's Play episode of Far Beyond the World. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Let's see, where were we on? Okay, there we go, alright. Back at the cabin in the woods. So I need to switch to the next update. 1 second, y'all. Alright, guys and gals, and we are back. Let's jump into the new update, shall we? Yes. Oh, come on now. Alright, guys and gals, I think I got it this time. Chapter 14. Orien. There we go. Orien. There we go. Alright. Okay. As we wait to retrieve our paperwork, faint voices echo over the marbled staircase, growing louder and louder with each step and finally drawing our collective attention. It seems to be a heated exchange, with the Magistrate's bellowing tone trumping over a much fainter voice of a younger male. Even the secretary stops her task and locks her expectant gaze with the stares. I don't need a young upstart like you telling me how to do my job. You might be working for the Grand Arcanist, but I'm still the Magistrate. I'm only here to observe. I don't need a babysitter either, especially not one young enough to be my grandson. Those incursions have drawn the attention of the king. The situation is serious. You don't have to tell me that. We are hundreds of miles away from the coast. Unless these marauders are sprouting from the ground like daisies, you should investigate the idiots in charge of White Gulch or Freyfall. This is not an investigation. Just a friendly offer of fresh This is an insult, is what it is. I've been in charge of this region for nearly 2 decades now. I have the wolves under control. Tyrannid is no threat to us. We both know that's not exactly true. Perfect timing. The very person I wanted to see. As he cleared the last bend of the stairs, the Magistrate clasps his hands at my sight. He rushes down the steps heading towards me, leaving the hooded male behind. His companion is clearly a tiger, wearing odd yet formal-looking blue robes. Before the stranger can pique my curiosity further, the older male is already on me, shaking my hand. Master Orien, was it? I'm so glad to have caught you. We're having a rather ad hoc soiree, and I would be obliged, delighted even, if you'd join us. We were just collecting those... I point absent-mindedly to the secretary, who holds our folded letters of free trade, but the Magistrate simply swishes his paw at her. Put those away. They won't be needing them anytime soon. We need leave. Rannoch mutters sternly, looking at me in slight confusion. Nonsense, it's already 11th hour. Who would want to travel at nightfall? Much better for you to leave in the morning. The old male smiles awkwardly. The stranger finally arrives at his side on the count of a rather slow and almost theatrical pace. Oh, he's handsome. I'll say, ooh. I look at him with curiosity. I can't make out his facial features over the shadow of his hood, but one thing stands out from the darkness. His gleaming, ice-cold eyes. Allow me to introduce Lord Cain Snowpaw. He arrived shortly after our meeting. And ever since, all I keep hearing is the story of a wolf and a human who arrived unannounced from the depths of fabled Tyrannid. The stranger utters in a husky, okay. And the stranger utters in a husky but pleasant voice, removing his hood. Cain is a royal mage. He's here on urgent business, apparently. Well, they don't need to know that. I would never insult my guests' intelligence. I think they could piece that together on their own. Crown agents rarely end up in these parts without good reason. Cain concedes a reluctant nod, while Rannoch gives him a rather inquisitive look. You mage? Indeed. I take it you haven't seen many in your lifetime. None. There's a slight note of hostility in Rannoch's voice, and considering his people's history with mages, I decided to divert the tone of the conversation to something more light-hearted, yet equally pressing. For me, at least. I'm sorry if this might seem a bit forward or impertinent, but I've never seen any real magic. Could you perhaps... make a demonstration? The tiger guesses, and I nod with a weak smile. Oh! Ice. Quick, grab me a drink. With just a flick of his wrist, he conjures a small icicle suspended above his palm. I even feel a gentle breeze brush against my skin as he does so. Does that sate your curiosity? That's so cool! My excitement and awe can be hardly contained, despite the implied triviality of the trick. I cannot help but bop in glee as the tiger passes the icicle to me and I hold it up to Rannoch. Although I'm very much taken and impressed, the wolf has a somewhat troubled expression, looking at the ice as if it were a blade, and I decide not to push his comfort zone too much. Instead, I grasp the frozen trinket inside my palm, chuckling as it slowly begins to melt away, tickling my skin. I never thought ice magic was a thing. I utter under my breath. I mutter under my... Well, technically speaking, it's more air magic. What do you mean? An inquisitive soul, I see. Well, it's quite simple, if you understand basic physics. I use the flow of arcane to draw on flash freeze water particles in the surrounding air by expanding it. This trick would have been mighty hard to perform in a more arid place, like Kemet. No moisture, no ice. Explains why they all breathe fire down south. Ha ha ha! The magistrate pipes in and I notice Kane roll his eyes in minor amusement. By the way, enough of parlor tricks. We have food and the entertainment should be here shortly. Second, y'all. Water time. Boys and gals, and we are back. Let's jump back into it, shall we? Okay. I had someone fetch minstrels from the bard. I very much insist you join us in the stateroom. Your offer is very kind, Your Excellency. I stumble, trying to find a proper way of address. But we really should be on our way. Besides, we've barely been able to find accommodation last night. As it happens, a group of Vanar envoys arrived shortly after our meeting, and ever since I couldn't stop thinking of our earlier exchange. He says in a kind tone, slipping his arm around me and slowly guiding us towards the archway. You've said you've lost your memory and that Lord Rannoch here tries to help you get home. That's right. Well, meeting your kin is the best chance at that you'll get. As for accommodation, this shan't be a problem. Normally I wouldn't do this, however, considering the sudden surge of arrivals, I've decided to host them all here. We have a few spare chambers for such an occasion. The magistrate nods eagerly, but I pull myself out of his embrace. I've nay said Rannoch one too many times in the last few days. It's very generous and kind, but... I wouldn't frown upon such an offer, child. The old male says in a slightly harsher tone, shaking his finger at me. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. Not many can boast that they were hosted at the Magistrate's palace. And as I said, if you want to get an inkling of an idea about your origins, this lot here is the best clue you can follow up on. He spreads his arms toward the adjacent hall and I frowned. They're well-traveled and quite prominent in Vanheimer society. They would recognize you if you were one of their own. Perhaps you even traveled with one of their favorite parties. Forward parties. This might not be a matter for me to involve myself in, but I'd listen to His Excellency. The Excellent One is right. We should stay. Not much delay. Rannoch shrugs, clearly intrigued by the proposition, judging by his perked-up ears, and thus my main point of contention melts away. See, even your Wolven Guardian agrees. So let me take you through. He insists, and I finally relent, allowing him to walk me to the marbled arch on the reception's right flank. As we enter the adjacent chamber, I nearly gasp in amazement. The sprawling stateroom greets me with a beautifully set-up table, buckling under the weight of elaborate crockery and numerous exquisite dishes. Even the side cupboards seem to strain under the weight of additional food and drink. The glass bottles reflect the setting sun seeping in from the windows and glimmer with different shades of reds and greens. The light show casted onto the wooden ceiling is enough to take my breath away, especially when paired with the crystal chalices dazzling in the walls in speckled rainbows. Everything shimmers here with opulence and extravagance, and I feel almost out of place. I count 5 elegantly dressed tigers seated comfortably at different ends of a large table. They take notice of our arrival, raising to their feet. Oh, she's pretty. Finally, Your Excellency! We thought you meant to starve us to death. A middle-aged tigress approaches us, giving a shallow curtsy which offers me a prime view of her rather deep neckline. The dress she wears might be chic, but it's also quite revealing. Chic? Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. The idea of a banquet, Lady Wrist, is that one helps themselves to whenever. Oh, I'm afraid I'm not that loose with my manners, Your Excellency. I would never dare to eat before my host has arrived. But what's this? More guests? Indeed. The magistrate nods, gesturing towards us with an open paw. Allow me to introduce Lord Rannoch of Tiernan, his companion Master Orien, also of Tiernan. And the Royal Mage here is Lord Cain Snowpaw.
Dear me, one would think we're having a war council. First human envoys, now a woven delegate, followed up by a royal mage. And you said that my visit in the Styx would prove boring.
She leans in the direction of one of the guests seated at the far end of the room. Oh, hello, y'all. That was over 3 months ago, my dear. Things have changed. The male responds, looking impatiently to a rather giggly tigress on his right. She also seems middle-aged, and by their interactions I infer they're an old couple.
Is this charming little fellow another one from Yorick's party?
Lady Bris focuses on me, clearly noticing me eyeing out the gathered. No, they are, as of the moment, unaffiliated.
Unaffiliated? What a funny way of putting it.
She gives the magistrate an inquisitive gaze, but the man just brushes it off. Well, I'll leave this for the humans to figure out. In the meantime, I suggest we begin the feast. I have worked up an appetite quibbling with this sharp tool.
Oh, do tell.
No, another time, perhaps. Let us not bore our guests with politics. He shakes his head and looks towards one of the servants standing at the side of the room. Portia, where is the other party? If y'all hear any booms in the background, it's because fireworks are going off. Oh, she's pretty. Damn. A lot of handsome and pretty people here.
Ugh. We went to see the gardens, Your Excellency.
The young doe bobs respectfully. Would you please be so kind and fetch them?
Of course, Your Excellency.
I watch as she rushes to a sizable carved door and struggles to crack it open. For a moment I catch a glimpse of the bright greenery outside and am quite curious to see it myself, but my attention is quickly returned to the gathered as the mage speaks up. I'm sorry if I come across as rude, but I'm afraid we're not familiar with one another, he says in an oddly accusatory tone to the elegant female, and she blinks in confusion.
Should we be?
She looks to the magistrate for aid. I'd say you're more uninformed than rude. The older male scoffs, swaying his paw gently towards the noble tigress. This is Lady Bris. She is visiting us from the faraway Mog Bay, which Tigeron's half is governed by her husband. I wasn't aware of that. Clearly. The magistrate narrows his eyes, but the young tiger continues his prodding. That is quite the journey, your ladyship. What brings you to these remote lands?
Personal matters. I am the guiding light to the Count Castay's daughter. Her enlightenment is approaching, and thus my presence is required. I'm only stopping here for a short visit with my dear friends, Lord Mayor and his wife.
She nods her head towards the giggly tigress and her less-than-amused companion. Feels rather cruel to single me out like that. The magistrate grumbles playfully and the female smiles, placing a paw on his shoulder.
I beg your pardon, Your Excellency. As gracious a host you've proven yourself to be, we've barely met. I'm certain that by the end of my visit, this little oversight shall be amended.
I should hope so, he mutters, continuing to feign offense and leading us towards the table. Once he arrives at his seat, our party stops, with Rannoch, Cain, and me pondering which of the empty chairs we should take. How exactly are you and Lord Mayor acquainted? The mage almost demands, and I blink. The capital, perhaps?
We were childhood friends, dearest. We grew up together at the Sunda Khan's palace.
Lady Bris responds nonchalantly.
Shortly after dear Claudius entered the Grammaticon, I was sent to the capital. We were reunited within a few years at the academy. 2 brash teenagers.
Oh, the mischief we got up to! The extravagant tiger giggles, and for the first time I realize how well matched he is with his wife.
The stuff of legends.
Why? Should I feel jealous?
My, should I feel jealous? Why, from what I've heard, darling, you lacked no adventure.
Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I shall see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!